Hello fashion lovers, you're welcome once again to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this gorgeous boubou with side pleats. This is a fitted boubou as you can see in this video. So guys, let's get started. Do well to subscribe if you are just stopping by. So I'm going to fold my fabric selvage to selvage like so, because the length of my dress is longer than the length of the Ankara fabric that I'll be using for this dress, okay? So on the open edge of the selvage part, I'm going to mark down my shoulder slant of 1 inch, and for the neckline, for the neck width, I'm doing 3 inches. You can do 2.5 if you are slim. So for the neck depth, I'm coming down by 3.5 inches for the neck depth. So for the armhole circumference, I'm doing 7 inches. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the shoulder to the hip line. Okay. And then I'll just mark the hip line like so. So after marking the hip line, I'm going to take the hip measurement and my sewing allowance like so. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the knee measurement, okay? I'll mark down my knee measurement like so, and then I'll rule the line across. I'll minus 1.5 inches from my hip measurement, and then I'll connect like so, giving it a nice curve. So whatever I have on the knee line, I'm just going to take that all the way down to the hem of the dress. So the next thing to do now is to connect the armhole line to the hip line. Okay, so I'll connect like so. So after connecting, I'm just going to cut this out because we are done with our front pattern. So you can see what this looks like after I open this up. So now I'll take another paper and then I'll draft the back. So for the back, I'm taking 1 inch for the zipper allowance, and I'm going to roll that all the way down to the hem. And then I will trace out what I already have on my front pattern. For the back neck width, I'm going down by 1 inch, and I'll connect that to the zipper allowance as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the hip line and the waistline on the back pattern. So on the waistline, I'm going in by 1/2 inch, and then I'll connect to the hip like so, and then I'll connect all the way to the zipper allowance on the neck width. So I'll remove my front pattern and then I'll cut out the back pattern. So I'll cut out my shapings at the back. This is to eliminate zipper bulge for the back. So I'll cut out the neck line for the front as well. And I'm going to take my front piece and I'll open this up like so. I cut out 7 inches fabric and I'm just going to pleat that from the armhole on the front piece alone, on the front pattern alone. I'll pleat it all the way down to the hem of the dress. So the fabric length I'm cutting out is the armhole to the length of the dress times 3. So after I'm done joining everything together and sewing the ruffles, I'm just going to shape the dress like so to give it a nice fitting. You will understand better as we proceed into the dress. Okay, so for the neck design on the dress, I'm just going to place my chantilly lace on the dress. I've gone ahead to cut out my Ankara fabric. So I'm going to mark out 2 inches from the starting point of the neck width. Okay, I'm going to mark out 2 inches like so, and I'll go down by 16 inches. You can do more or do less, whatever you want. Okay, so I marked out 16 inches and I'm going to connect like so all the way to meet the 16 inches mark. Okay, I'm just giving it a V shape. You can do a U shape, whatever shape you want for yours. Okay, so but this is the design I am working with. So I'm just going to cut this out now. When you want to cut out, make sure you raise your chantilly lace up. Don't make the mistake of cutting both the Ankara and the chantilly lace together. You can use Ankara fabric to design yours. You can use whatever fabric you like to design yours. Okay, so I'm done cutting this out now. I'm just going to open my fabric like so, and then I'll place my chantilly lace on top. Before you cut out your chantilly lace, make sure you iron your Ankara fabric, okay, so that you have a crease line to work with on the middle of the dress. Okay, so I have my crease line. I know you cannot see it, but I can see it clearly. So I'm just going to place my chantilly lace like so, and I'll go ahead and use my hemming gum to make sure that it stays in place. So I'll cut out my hemming gum like so, and then I'll raise my chantilly lace up gradually, gently, and then I'll cut the hemming gum underneath the dress like so, all the way down. Okay, so if you are doing a pointy edge for your chantilly lace or whatever lace you want to use, make sure that the edge of your pointy merge with the crease line. You can see mine merge with the crease line like so. Okay, so I'm just going to press this using my steam iron to press this down. So after I'm done pressing, I'm just going to measure the edge of the chantilly lace like so, and then I'm going to times that by 3. Whatever answer I get, 32.5 times 3, whatever answer I get, I'll use it to cut out another fabric. So I'm cutting 3 inches now on the selvage of my chantilly lace. Okay, so if you are using Ankara to design yours, you might want to you might want to cut your Ankara fabric on fold. Okay, but my chantilly lace has a very nice edge, so I won't be cutting on fold. So I'm just going to cut this out now like so, and then we'll go to the sewing table where the magic happens. So now I'm going to divide my chantilly lace into 2 like so. I don't mean cut, I'm going to fold it into 2. So once I fold it into 2, I pin down the middle on the middle of the chantilly lace, on the pointy edge of the chantilly lace. So after I'm done doing that, I'm just going to pleat this like so. So don't forget to place your chantilly lace right sides facing each other. So I'm just sewing 1/4 inch on this chantilly lace. Okay, you can sew down 1/2 inch if you so desire. So I'm just pleating this all the way down, all the way round like so, till I get to the end of the other shoulder. So once I'm done doing that, I'm going to open the chantilly lace up like so, and then I'll top stitch this down. So once I'm done top stitching, you can see how this is looking. The next thing I'm going to do now is to place the shoulders together, the front and back, place them together and sew down the shoulder all the way down to the end of the sleeve. So I'm sewing down all the way using 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can see the joining I have on my Ankara for the to complete the length of the sleeve. You can see the joining I have there. So if yours is not long enough for to accommodate the length of your sleeve, you can cut another piece and sew that down. So now that I'm done sewing the shoulder, I'm going to open this up like so, and then I'll hem the sleeve part with 1 inch. So if it's 1/2 inch you used for your sleeve allowance, go ahead and use 1/2 inch, but I used 1 inch for mine. Whatever you use for your allowance is what you should use there. Okay, so I'm just sewing down the 1 inch. So once I'm done sewing down the shoulders on both sides and hemming the sleeve part, I'm just going to hem the bottom of the dress. Here I used 1.5 inches for the sleeve, for the hem allowance. So I'm just sewing that down like so. I will sew down the hem for the back as well. So here is the 7 inches fabric I cut out for my pleats. So I've gone ahead to serge the ends and I've done a rolled hem for the other side. So I have two pieces here, one for one sleeve and the other one for the other sleeve. So I'm just going to take this now and I'll pleat it down. So from the hem of the sleeve, measure whatever you have there all the way down to the hem of the dress and times that by 3. So after you are done cutting out, I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine like so, and I'm just going to pleat this all the way down to the hem. If you want your pleats to be fuller, you can times it by 3 or by 4, times 4 or times 5, depending on how full you want your pleats. So I'll just continue pleating till I get to the end, to the hem of the dress. So you can see the way I'm pleating. I'm pleating clockwise. So the other pleat will be anti-clockwise. Okay, because you don't want your pleats to be looking different. If you want your pleats facing up, both sides have to face up. If you want your pleats facing down, both sides have to face down. I hope you understand me clearly. So I've gotten to the hem of this side. So I'm just going to back stitch and move to the other side of the dress. So note that I'm splitting on the front piece alone. So for the other side, I'm going to be pleating from the hem of the dress all the way to the sleeve opening. So now I'm going to place my fabric like so. So take note of the way I am pleating this next one. You can see the way I'm pleating this now is different from the way I pleated the other side, okay? So I'm still going to cross check if my pleat is facing the right direction. So once you are sure that your pleat is facing the same direction that the other sleeve, that the other pleat is facing, you are good to go. So here I'm just cross-checking my pleats, and yes, it's facing the same direction, and I'll just continue till I get to the hem of the sleeve. So once I'm done pleating both, I'm just going to tuck my pleat inside like so, and I'll use the back armhole to cover the front pleats. And then I'll sew down 1/2 inch all the way down to the hem of the dress. When doing this, make sure that your pleat is well arranged inside, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Once I'm done, so I'll do the same thing for the other side of the dress. So now I'm done. You can see how my pleat looks on this side, and you can see how it looks on the other side as well. Okay? So you can rock your dress like so if that's what you want to achieve. But to make it look fitted, I'm just going to mark out the armhole line like so on both sides. After marking my armhole, I'll mark out the waistline. The waist of my client is 18 inches, so I'm marking that on both sides. So from my crease line, I'm going to measure 1/4 of my bust measurement like so on both sides. So from the center of my dress again, I'm going to measure the waist circumference like so on both sides of the dress. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust my dress again. I'll connect both lines together like so. And I'll mark the waist to hip measurement. After marking the waist to hip measurement on both sides, from the center of my crease line, I'm going to input quarter of my hip measurement like so on both lines, on both sides. Once I'm done marking that, I'm going to connect from the waistline to the hip line like so. I'll do the same thing for the other side. And then I'll connect to the side of the dress like so. You can see I'll connect to the pleats. So it's just going to stop by that pleat side. So I'll connect like so to the other side and then I'll take it to the sewing machine. So following that chalk mark that I have there, I'm just going to sew that down all the way. So when you are doing this, make sure you arrange your fabric. You don't want it rumpled at the back. So arrange your fabric very well. You can see what I'm doing. I'm arranging the back. You must make sure the back is smooth and you must make sure the front does not have any crease as well. So I'm just going to sew this all the way down. So watch me closely and see the way I'm going to end it. You can see I ended it in between the pleats line like so. So I'm going to turn the fabric to the other side and do the same thing. So you can see what I'm doing from in between the pleats. I'm just going to follow the chalk mark I have on the fabric as well. I'll make sure I arrange it neatly. No rumples on both the front and the back. So I'm just going to top stitch this down, following that line like so. And we are done with our boo-boo dress. So I'll take this to my mannequin now and show you what this looks like. Okay, note that my mannequin is not the same size with my client. That's why this is looking a bit big for my mannequin. But you can try this out and let me know your outcome. Thank you so much guys for watching and don't forget to stay blessed. Bye.